What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Ash. If you are returning, then you already knew that. So y'all, we are jumping back into Sex and the City. I am sorry that it took me so long to upload this, but don't worry, there will be an episode review directly after this one, so keep a lookout for that. Let me see, what was my actual last upload? 2 weeks ago? Okay, so you guys, we're on episode 3 and it is titled When in Rome. So let's jump right into it because I need to stop talking so freaking much all the time. So the first scene, we are back at the podcast. Carrie is getting more open with her jokes. Not anything lewd, but she's definitely opening up and showing more of her personality on the podcast. At this point, Shay, the podcast host, mentions that she has a comedy show, a Netflix special. She's invited Carrie, and of course, Carrie says yes. They have a brief moment where Carrie talks about Big. Carrie has this very sarcastic way of dealing with this whole situation with Big. And, you know, it's just very interesting to see all the different range of emotions when we're talking about her grieving. Okay, so at this point, Carrie and Miranda are walking and talking, and she invites her to the comedy club. Miranda all excited. We'll get into this in a little bit, but Miranda's super excited and tells her, yeah, I want to go. They are actually on their way to the will signing. And as you know, Miranda is a lawyer, so perfect friend to take with you to a will signing. And Carrie mentions that she hasn't been eating. We are now in the lawyer's office, and we have Gloria, Big's former assistant, Carrie and Miranda, and then the male lawyer, who is just really pompous, arrogant. His wife calls, he ignores the calls, Miranda calls him out. He's just that typical, almost gives you finance bro vibes, but lawyer. So he takes the call with his wife. He's fussing and cussing her out. Just disgusting, right? Perfect person you want to be going over your will, your last will and testimony, your husband's last will and testimony, right? Like, he really cares. So now we're at the next scene, and we have Charlotte and Stanley. Somehow they meet up at the same restaurant. It wasn't planned or anything like that, but there is this ongoing rift between the two of them. At that point, Stanley lets Charlotte know. Well, he was either invited there or they just showed up at the same place at the same time. He mentions to Charlotte, like, hey, you always have treated me like I'm not on the inside of this group, like I'm an outsider of the group. And Charlotte's like, no, I haven't. You know how Charlotte is. But she really does visibly treat him away. We shoot back to the lawyer in the reading of the will. So at this point, there's this really dramatic pause and all this stuff. Basically, long story short, Big left $1 million to Natasha, his ex-wife. Of course, Carrie is shocked by this. Gloria had no knowledge of it. Miranda had no knowledge of it. It's just like, what the hell? Why would you? It just raised a whole bunch of questions and mess. Okay, so we shoot back to the restaurant. At this point, everyone's there. Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Stanley. So Stanley is seated with his back towards where the kitchen door flings open constantly, which almost like, it's so like a play on words, so to speak. Like, yeah, you're not a part of this group. They even got you seated. It's like a booth, and then there's his seat, and it's just like he's getting hit the entire time by the kitchen door. It's just funny. Can y'all see in my closet? Okay, so they are all discussing at this point, like, why would Big leave anything to Natasha? Like, what? Like, nobody understands what that is about. So random. Carrie felt like she knew everything about this man, and it just really doesn't make sense. Carrie, apparently, there was an affair, and Carrie was the person that Big was cheating on Natasha with, which led to their divorce, breakup. I don't remember. So at this point, Carrie's mind is racing. She's throwing out all kinds of things. She doesn't, you know, this is just not what you want to hear when you're grieving your husband. Like, that's always the sucky part, is finding out all these secrets about the person that's dead. And I was watching another show, and it was something similar, like a similar storyline. I'm like, ooh, who would want to deal with that? Okay, so moving right along, you guys. Carrie starts digging through everything. Computers, cell phones, clothes. And then she ends up finding an old photo of a dog. It's like a really, really old photo of some dog. And on the back of it, it says Gogi. And it's got the year like 1960 something. It's really, really old. And she also finds a note with the phone number on it. Just separate things she's finding when she's digging through Big's coats and stuff like that. And then she tried to dial the phone number, and it was a 347 number, so New York, and it rang their house. I was like, Carrie, how do you not even know your own house phone number? So that was nothing. There was no lead there. In the next scene, Anthony is in the like a commercial kitchen. He has like a business going with baking and stuff like that, and he's there with Charlotte and Lily. And Charlotte ends up pulling him to the side. You know, they had some banter in the kitchen, and then he ended up making a comment, and I think he said, girl, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, Charlotte's like, oh, let me let him know that Lily no longer wants to, did I say Lily? Rose. It's not Lily, it's Rose. Yeah. Rose no longer wants to be referred to as a girl, and she's like, I don't know what to do about it. What do you think about it? And this is where they focus on the fact of children may make these changes and feel like they want to not be a girl or not be a boy at the age she's at. He acted as if it wasn't a big deal. It's not anything to jump the gun about. Like, he was like, okay, like there were times when I was a kid and I didn't want to be this or I didn't want to be that. So it was one of those things. Previously, like the night before or whatever, Rose and Charlotte were laying down together, and they were just kind of having a little nighttime chat, and Rose told Charlotte she doesn't even feel like a girl, and Charlotte was like, Lily, do you ever not feel like a girl? And she just clearly doesn't understand all this. So Anthony, like I said, feels like she may be just going through a phase. Next scene, we have Steve and Miranda. They're getting ready to have dinner and a movie, or, you know, movie snacks in a movie. So she gets a phone call, and it's Carrie. And that's when Carrie is telling her about a Pinkberry punch card. If you're not familiar, I think Pinkberry it was a really popular ice cream shop, I believe. And I thought it was only in LA, but I guess it's in New York too. But it's just an ice cream shop where you get a little punch card. And so I guess she never knew that Big liked Pinkberry. So that's another thing. So it's all kind of like feeling like he was having an affair, or this was a person she didn't even know. Carrie reached out to Natasha via email and DM. So that's what Carrie is on the phone telling Miranda, like, she's just rambling. And Miranda's like, well, I don't think you should. She's like, I already did. So next scene, all of the girls end up going on a stakeout outside of Natasha's work. I'm not sure what she does, but she seems like she's a boss. So they're outside in getting driven around, stalking Big's ex-wife. Carrie requests to speak with Natasha, so she went inside and asked the receptionist, can I speak to Natasha? They told her to give them a moment, and they ended up coming back and telling her that Natasha is not here, she's in Rome. Mind you, all three of them just watched Natasha walk into the building. So Miranda and Charlotte wait inside Starbucks while all this is going on. So they don't actually see Carrie going up to the building. They're actually waiting for her inside Starbucks. And so at that point, they start discussing how Miranda and Steve's romance is gone. And I think Charlotte asked for like a charger or something. Miranda told her to go ahead and get it out my bag. And she goes to get like a snack from, the front. At that point, Charlotte found 3 Tito's bottles of vodka, like small little bottles, in Miranda's bag, which is her school bag. And so, of course, she starts, Charlotte, child. So Carrie is telling the girls what happened as they walk down the street. At this point, they end up seeing the ex-wife through the window. Well, the ex-wife saw them walking down the street because she's on the phone and she's just looking out. And, it's that floor-to-ceiling glass, very New York vibes. And she looks down and sees them 3 walking down the street talking about her. So that was awkward. Okay, so they end up going their separate ways or whatever, and Carrie continues to walk throughout Central Park, and she makes a phone call to Charlotte and tells her all she can do is walk. That's the only thing that she wants to do. And I want to mention that Carrie had on the Balenciaga Gucci collab bag in this scene, and it was fire. I love that collab. So Miranda ends up pulling up on Carrie, and they chit chat a little bit, and Carrie ends up spilling her heart out about how she really feels about the whole situation. Miranda ended up, listening to her for a little bit. She only had a couple minutes, and then she went to class, and then Carrie continues to walk. So she calls Charlotte while she's walking, and she sees a random little coffee shop or whatever, and she's like, well, I have to pee. When she goes inside the coffee shop, she knocks on the bathroom door, and guess who she walks in on? The ex-wife in the coffee shop. And so she sits at the table and waits for her to come out, and it was hell on wheels after that. They get into a shouting match. Well, not really. Carrie wasn't really shouting. She was just letting her have her moment, because she's like, why the f are you following me? Like, why are you coming back up? Like, you are the one that stole my husband from me. You ruined my life. Like, last person you want to see. So the ex-wife told her that she declined the will. She doesn't want anything to do with it. And Carrie burnt her hand at the table or whatever, and she ends up icing her hand. And she was very mad with Carrie, but she sympathized with what was going on and gave her a little, you understand? So fast forward, we are at Shay's show, Charlotte, Miranda, Carrie, and there's a lot of non-binary gender topics at the show, a lot of jokes about that, but it was very eye-opening. Like, I love how they are covering different topics and different things that are going on right now with our kids and with us. So it was very, very relatable. I love that scene. Miranda and Charlotte feel something. They feel some type of way after this show. Like, Miranda is feeling all like, yes, like all empowered for some reason. Charlotte is understanding a little bit more about her daughter. So Miranda mentioned the VIP party and asked the girls if they want to go. They said no. Carrie and Charlotte dip out in a car, and Miranda ends up going to the party and links up with Shay, and Shay offers her an herbal refreshment and ends up blowing her a shotgun. And there was definitely some feelings there. In the car, Charlotte brings up Miranda's drinking problem that she feels like she has. She said that to Carrie. Carrie really wasn't trying to hear it. Carrie was like, can you please just stop thinking? Like, Carrie wasn't trying to hear it. And so Charlotte kind of just leaves it alone. In this scene, Carrie had the purple sequins Fendi bag, and it was just everything. Like, the fashion is out of this world. Like, the fashion never fails. It's like so boho chic, yet preppy, yet edgy. Like, I don't even know the name for the fashions in this freaking episode or the show. And then it just ends like it, and just like that, Carrie walks herself home. Like, real cheesy. So it's a lot of things to relate to in these episodes. I do feel like they are throwing a lot at you at one time, and I don't feel like they have the smoothest transitions from one situation to the next, from one scene to the next. But I don't know, I get the feeling like they've been out for so long that they're trying to catch everything up, and everything is moving so freaking fast. And there's a lot that I could say about Carrie, but I kind of want to wait till the next review of episode 4 to kind of give you my feelings more in depth about Carrie, episode 4 and 5. Okay, so let me know what you guys feel in the comment section. You guys said you like these reviews, you love the way I tell a story, so I'm going to keep doing them because the show is actually getting really freaking good. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below, and I will talk to you guys in episode 4. Okay, bye. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.